All right. It looks like we are live. What's up, everyone? Lance Hedrick here, and we are back with a frickin' vengeance. I don't even know if I actually titled this video, but you know what? I'll title it after we film. Did I put a title on this video? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter because we'll do it afterwards. But anyway, I'm going to start doing these bad boys again. I'm excited to revamp this channel once more. Took a little time off of it, but we're back with a vengeance. I got really inspired tonight while thinking through a new series I want to do on my main YouTube, but I wanted to come over here and yeah, go live here. So it's been a while. I'm excited to announce that for this channel, at least for the next few videos, we do have a new sponsor. First sponsor on this channel, which is incredible, and it's actually going to improve the quality of these streams, and that sponsor is Airtime. So check this out. This is all part of Airtime. You ready for this? This is the coolest thing ever. So Airtime is like, it's like a plugin, essentially a plug and play type of thing when you're doing like Zoom calls or you know, business calls online, and you're able to have a little bit of fun with it like this. Look at that. Look at that. Or this. Superman. Or I'm going to use this later. Guys, I think I need some coffee. It's soup time. Or you know what? I got to go brew something tasty. Okay, but anyway. Oh wait. Here I am. Okay. But anyway, so I'm super stoked about that. I'll go more into that in a bit, but those are designs I just had the team there make on my behalf, and I'm so excited about them. But anyway, all right, so what I'm going to go ahead and get into this. What inspired me so much, you're asking? What is why am I excited? Why is Lance Hedrick Superman so excited to get into this? Well, it's simple. I was seeing my friend on Instagram named Maxie, an awesome barista up in New York who fights on behalf of baristas' rights and all these different things, also a barista herself. And she was posting about the exorbitant prices of barista certification classes. Now, funny enough, this was the original impetus of me creating my YouTube. If you go all the way back, what is it now? What was my first video? Was it 2021? I believe it was, yeah, 2021 in March. That is when I made my first YouTube video, and it was how to steam milk. And the whole reason I did that genuinely is because I got fed up with how baristas, which are the lowest end of the totem pole in the coffee world, they are expected to have these certifications before they're able to get a job in certain parts of the world. This is surely not true everywhere. But I do remember I would see these places saying, you know, SCA level 1 certification necessary for application. And then you're going to pay them, what, $9 an hour when there's $2,000 a month apartment pricing, when healthcare is $1,200. You know, this is BS. So I remember I got really fed up with that, and how there were also NDAs that cafes were having baristas sign that they wouldn't go and share the training they got in that establishment. Just like this gatekeeping weird stuff that really kept me up at night, made me mad. And so that's what kind of started the YouTube, is I made, you know, how to dial an espresso, how to steam milk, and the idea was to empower those who were powerless, or that was the, you know, the lofty idea of it. Not trying to actually be, you know, this right here, but maybe just Superman. I don't know, but no, that was the original impetus. Anyway, it got that. I've kind of moved away. Well, I still do instructional classes, but it's kind of hard when you've done the main instructions. Like, I've taught you how to steam milk. I've taught you how to pull typical espresso. We can get into the minutia, and that's what a lot of you are here for. But when it comes to typical espresso, that is, I mean, it's pretty easy when you're just trying to dial into a certain, you know, area of like 1 to 2 and 30 seconds. That's pretty easy to teach. It takes 12 seconds, right? So anyway, seeing this Instagram made me really motivated because now there's a new way of doing these certifications. They're more expensive. There's more options, more of them, and people around the world. I get emails from people asking me for guidance on, do I need to go get this if I want to make it into coffee? They're like $750 for like a course on basics. Like, you can do that for free on YouTube if you're willing to sit and watch a few ads. Like, come on now. So anyway, my excitement is I'm going to not necessarily revamp those videos, but essentially I'm going to I already have downloaded the course structures for these different really expensive classes, and I'm just going to teach them through a YouTube series. And even if I may not And so essentially what it'll do is it'll do what a lot of you are wanting, which is more conservative, middle of the road explanations of espresso. And this way, new people coming in won't jump into me talking about puck depth. They'll jump into, how to get a traditional style of coffee. But also the idea is, again, I want to get back to actually helping baristas, actually helping those in the coffee industry get their jobs, because learning about soup isn't going to help someone get a job. But I also think it'll be fun. It'll help. There's going to be some good stuff in it, like the process from seed to cup in general, the processing, and those kind of things. But all in all, I'm excited because yeah, I've downloaded these course kind of syllabi, I guess, and I'm just going to do them myself for free. Oh, you might need to spend $750 for stuff that's easily findable online. The issue is people don't know how to go online and sift through the wheat and the chaff. People don't know how to do that, right? So um, that is what it is, eh? Let's see. I forgot to have this public. It's now public, so we should get an influx of more people. Whoops. But anyway, so that's essentially what I'm going to start doing here shortly. Is yeah, kind of anyway. I have this kind of pulled up, and I was going to just take a brief look at it as we're chatting. Let's see. I have, where is it on my thousand? Oh my god, where is it? Did I shut it off? No, it's right here. Ugh. The course catalog I have, and in the course catalog, you have a table of contents that has SCA certificate programs, coffee skills program, SCA coffee diploma, the introduction to coffee module, barista skills module, brewing module, green coffee module, roasting module, sensory skills module. Now, I won't be able to do all of these. For instance, sensory skills module has to be in person. Roasting module, you pretty much need to be in person. But everything else you can essentially do. It's just like lectures, and then you get a little hands-on, which you can do at home. So, like introduction to coffee, the topic overview is origins and supply chain. Origins of coffee, coffee growing regions, coffee's journey from farm to cup, current coffee industry, producers, consumers, coffee as a plant, most common coffee species, general differences in species, common varieties of species, quality, what is specialty coffee, harvesting and processing, which honestly, who even knows what their answer to what is specialty coffee is? I probably disagree with that. Coffee roasting and storage, basics of roasting process, importance and strategies for prolonging freshness. Okay, I'll teach you that. Sensory experience, the human senses, taste recognition and flavor perception. Okay, I've already done that, but we'll do it again in a shorter format. I'll actually do a better job or do a job of kind of outlining these videos. I'm always off the cuff, but maybe we'll do a little bit something to keep it more, because I want these to be a good alternative for people. In fact, to be honest with you, it has been a desire of mine for a while to make some sort of certification that's free from me. So to have some sort of like, I wouldn't want to call it the being Lance Hedrick certified, because that's so ridiculous. But there's also, I do know that like that could potentially carry respect at like shops for baristas that are wanting to become baristas. Because like I know my videos are shown a lot. Anyway, if I've been thinking about that, I would just need to find a way to be able to spend time and energy towards that. But that is something I've always wanted to do, is to do some sort of certification so that people have an alternative that's free. I wouldn't want people to pay for it. I don't want I don't want someone to have to pay $400 to show someone that they know something. So that's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I think that would be a really cool prospect. It wouldn't be anytime soon, but that's something I've been thinking about for a long time, is having some sort of certification, because people are, like I said, they're already, a lot of places already incorporate my videos into their training. So why not just have a certification process? And then, yeah, go from there. But anyway, so I'm stoked about doing this. Anyway, let's continue on. Brewing. There's common brewing methods. Okay. Brewing and extraction principles, sensory impact of extraction, introduction to cupping, then impact of water quality and temperature, then cleaning and maintenance. That is what you pay $750 for, and it's like a 14-hour course or something. Oh, sorry, no, that one's 4-hour course. So that's introduction to coffee module, and that's a 4-hour course. Okay, I could do that in 2 hours and be more in depth. I'm not trying to throw shade, but a little bit. Would you like that? I'm not trying to throw shade, but a little bit. Barista Skills Foundation. There's another one. It allows learners to gain an introductory understanding of the coffee itself, as well as foundational skills to make espressos, foam, texture, latte art as per SCA quality standards, implementing health and safety practices, written exam, test the foundations. Okay, I can give you a written exam. It's 7 hours. Barista skills intermediate. It goes on top of the foundation course. It's barista skills. Want to explore how to improve coffee quality, prepare more complex job functions. We'll get deeper understanding of the coffee itself, specifically the impact of a coffee's variety, origins, and processing methods on flavors. Which honestly, that's a bit misleading because, well, we won't get into that right now. But I'll try to keep it simple. Parameters of coffee quantity, grind texture, water quality, and shot time, their interaction when dialing in a brew recipe, drink construction and taste differences, workflow management and efficiency, sensory aspect of the espresso extraction, milk handling and techniques, as well as latte art. I can do all of that without question. Um, and that's 14 hours. 14. And then the barista skills is to test advanced skills and detailed knowledge of the science behind processes used by a professional barista, a barista with 12 months or more experience. Successful candidates will have explored and demonstrated the advanced skills typically expected of a head barista. Sophisticated tasting methodology, descriptive explanation of coffee flavors, detailed understanding of drink ingredients and the techniques available to maximize quality of the drinks. How develop brew recipes, systematic method of structuring beverage menus, be able to consistently apply the highest standard of latte art milk steaming techniques. Which, I mean, you should have already done that in the first one. If they're still learning how to steam, it's ridiculous. That's 21 hours. Okay. Brewing module. There's a 7-hour one, a 14-hour one, and a 21-hour one for brewing foundation, intermediate, and professional. Green coffee module, another 7, 14, 20. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine if you got all these certifications, how much money you'd spend? It'd be like $4,000 out of pocket, baby. Oh, sorry. So to go over quickly, because this is what is this rant I've walked in on? So I'm to start all over. I've got a little sample thing in my hand to refract. Not even refracting right now. So I got inspired to. I was always planning on restarting this unfiltered and with a tenacity, with a ferocity that is only matched by the gods of Greek antiquity. But what really got me to want to do one tonight is I was watching an Instagram by my friend Maxie the barista in New York, who is a barista, also fights loudly for the rights of baristas, and was posting the other day about how expensive these barista courses are that the SCA that are SCA certified. So Specialty Coffee Association. That is kind of the daddy that holds all specialty coffee together, kind of. It's probably taboo for me to be throwing shade, but it is absurd the prices that are required of baristas, which are low income positions, to pay in order to have these certifications. The idea of the certifications is to open up job opportunities. How is a low income underpaid barista going to afford a $750 7-hour or 4-hour class and then get the second intermediate one that's 14 hours? Where do they find that time when they're trying to hit their 40-hour maximum? Like, this is just, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. That's the rant you've walked in on. And so my rant is about that, how I think it's crazy. And that was actually the original impetus of starting my YouTube, with my milk steaming, and with my original espresso extraction. This has been one of my ires for many years. So this is not the first time I've had an outburst about this. I was much more it was much more in-person outbursts before I started YouTube. And then literally I started YouTube because I did not want all this education in ivory towers. And I would go on that rant actually in frequent videos early in my YouTube back in 2021. So if you're some of the OG viewers from back then, you may recall some of these rants I would go on about how silly these prices are, how education is held in an ivory tower, and the people who need it the most in order to thrive are the ones that are, it's like a carrot on a horse, you know? It's like, keep coming, we'll give it to you. Keep coming, and we'll give it to you. But then when they get it, there was a pin that dropped. Now you have to sign an NDA to say you'll never teach anyone else our secrets to training. Like, anyway, so all of that to say, I'm going to make a YouTube series on my main YouTube, and I'm going to essentially do the ska courses. I mean, I only have the outline, so I'm not going to. I won't have their information. I'll have better information, more up to date information. I'll say that. I don't mind. In fact, to be honest with you, I did take level 1 barista back in 2017, I think it was, because someone Someone gave it to me, and I went out to Tulsa and took it. Um, yeah, yeah, bit behind the times. Let's just say that. Yeah, no shade to the person who was an instructor. It was a friend of mine who instructed it, but I mean, they even admitted that the instruction was way behind the times. It's kind of ridiculous. But the fact is, it's subpar knowledge that they're giving you, and it's an expectation more and more coffee shops are having for baristas in their application process. Oh, for this bougie cafe we're opening, you must be certified. Okay, you want me, who's applying for a barista job, to be certified with $1,000 certificate? What is this? What is this? Assume paid training on the job like I did at Starbucks. No, Starbucks has their snap together. That was a weird thing to say. I wanted to say stuff together. They have their stuff together when it comes to their training. I'm not saying I like the training, but their training, their health insurance, those things, they have their stuff together. Specialty does not. They do not. Yeah, and sometimes you'll often, for those of you who don't know, when you get a job at a cafe, and maybe you work at a cafe and this isn't your experience. I'm not saying this is everyone's experience, but it's a very common experience. You work at a specialty cafe, they bring you on and they put you on register for 3 to 6 months until you are ready to do something low level like, you know, I don't know, do manual brews. And then when you're doing manual brews, you have that until you're for 6 more months until you can touch the espresso machine. So there's this gatekeeping in coffee that's pretty horrendous. And it's almost like the shop doesn't want to invest in you the time and energy and effort to work the bar if you may not stay that long. So they'll do just little training here and there until you prove that you're worthy of more training. That happens all of the time. Why would they sit and waste their time on someone that may not spend that much time? That's genuinely, and I've heard people say that, not in those words because they were shop owners, but they tried to justify it to themselves of like, well, we can't just keep bringing in new baristas and training them the whole way through. I'm like, yes, you can. It's literally your job. That is what you're doing is getting baristas on. And if you're not a good enough employer to keep employees for longer than X amount of time, well, that's on you, not on the barista, there are shops I know that have had baristas that have worked there for 10, 12 years as a barista. You can be, if you have an employer that's willing to pay you a livable wage, you can be a lifelong barista. I know many lifelong baristas that love it. It's just not easy because most owners don't want to pay that. And that is what it is. That's not what we're here. We're not here about coffee economics. We're here about the ridiculous exploitation of coffee certification when it comes to employees and how all of that stuff is free online. People just don't know how to wade through the chaff and the wheat. And I am someone that has burned through it, and I am vehemently opposed to overcharging for simple education that is all over the internet, including my channel. But mine is scattered through hundreds upon thousands of hours of me ranting, and I cannot expect a baby barista to want to wade through that. So, what I'm planning to do is take the outline, take the rubric of the SCA courses, and I'm going to do the Lance version, the Lance CA, the Lance Coffee Association courses, and we're going to go through them, and you're going to know this will, I think, will also be interesting for home baristas because then they will know what baristas are expected to know and learn, and what the boundaries of their knowledge is. So when they're going to shops and they might be confused, well, they'll know that's what the Daddy SCA tells them to do. Okay, so the thing is when baristas are trained, they're not in there being trained, maybe in a few rare exceptions of coffee shops that are run by coffee lovers that aren't there to exploit workers, but are there for the love of coffee. Okay, maybe those shops, and I know of a few, but maybe those shops are actually going to take the time to teach you a lot of other, random peripherals in coffee. But you're not going to become a barista and learn that a 12-second shot is okay. Sometimes you can dial in to make that great, or that, you know, uh, dialing by the dose indicated on the basket is not ideal, or that anything outside of 18-gram dose is fine because maybe that's what the shop's been doing for years, or that you can use, I don't know. There's so many different things that baristas are not taught because it doesn't matter for the workflow of that shop, or it's not traditional like the SCA is. So that's what we have going on. I believe that baristas actually enjoy training others, anyways. Baristas do if they're paid. Enjoy training others for sure, for sure. I believe a lot of the time they do. But let's check out some of these. Literally, only winners, baristas, customers served by them, apart from the scalpers who offer expensive courses. Oh, sure, exactly, yeah. Serve the specialita. Would I be able to get away with the silencio instead? I'm not sure if it's the same, but I don't think it is. Someone else can correct me though. Um, So that's what I was throwing shade at. Now I'm caught up on questions. Land certificate. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna. And so that also leads me to I want to do my own certificate of training. I think it would be really cool to have something like Breeze Tussle has their certificate, but you have to pay for their classes, which I do recommend. I think Breeze Tussle does a good job. Of course, there are things I'd change, but I'm the black sheep of the family. But I think it's cool. I just want to have a legitimate certification that comes from me that is free. You have to put in the work. Don't get me wrong. So I would need to make modules and courses and whatnot, and that's what it would take time. And I would need to find a way to make it financially viable for me to spend that much time doing it without requiring payment from people. So I need to figure something. I need to figure something out with that because I refuse to take money for the training and certification. But yeah, anyway. Anytime the SEA search are as expensive there in the US, imagine type race wages. Yeah, oh, exactly. It's insane. It's absolutely absurd. There's no reason for it to be. And the thing is, I understand that the teachers who have their certificates to teach, I understand they need to make a living, but not by like I don't understand the decision to walk into a position where your job relies on the waning funds of someone that doesn't have much funds to begin with. Like if you're going to exploit, like if you're going to sell your trade, sell it to someone that when it's an expensive one, sell it to someone that has the money that you can swipe. Be a little Robin Hood, you know what I'm saying? Swipe that from the rich. Take that from the rich, not from the poor, not from our baristas. Come on now. Um, Hello from Alaska. What's up? Went to class one time and ended up showing the instructor how to steam milk better. Exactly. This actually reminds me, I was taking an ancient Greek class once, and there were questions that students had about the morphology of one of the words. And the professor literally said, oh, sometimes in language, words just morph like that. And I knew why, because I'd read a book on morphology in the European languages and had actually read about this specific one. And I had to then teach the class. And I was like, no, there's actually a reason. And the professor decided to be a smart A and was like, what would you like to teach? I was like, sure. I walked up to the board and I showed the history of that morphology. And it dealt with the digamma, if anyone is interested in ancient Greek, but it dealt with the digamma and how that changes things, gives you syncopation of intervocalic sigma and things like that. Anyway, it was a pretty fun little lesson I taught on the verb ballo. Anyway, fun stuff with morphology and ancient languages. But yeah, so that happens. Sometimes you have to do that. $1,000 for 15 per hour job is insane. Yeah. Oh, if 15 per hour. There's only certain places in the country that pay that. Bleak Breeze said bootleg Q grader win. Oh, I know. Honestly, what should I call it? That should I call it like the bootleg barista cert? I want to call it BBL somehow. I need, instead of certification, I need license. The bootleg barista license. Can we call it that, or is that too risque? Sorry, this is supposed to be. Well, yeah. Sorry, I think that's funny. Sorry. Not doing okay, good. I thought it was funny, but it's like I'm talking to a silent computer, and I don't know if people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you said BBL." I just think it's funny. Lance University, LU, losers, right? Howdy from Texas. What did Lance teach you? Well, to start off with, shh, they are on my arm. Okay, so there's respect there. Hey, they were kind. I'll give them this. After my video, which critiqued the mess out of their CO 64, they reached out and offered to pay for a trip for me to go to Hamburg. They said, "No silly business. We respect what you do, and we genuinely appreciate the feedback." They didn't even say, "Although we disagree," which I've had other vendors do. There was one recently who reached out. I was like, "Thanks for reviewing it, though we disagree with like everything you said." Okay, well, of course you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be selling the product. But so that was pretty cool response. Bootleg barista license, yeah. The Lance Hedrick Institute, BBO. Here, wait 1 second. I gotta just give me 1 second. Y'all know I had to do that to you. That's another graphic I had made. I needed water. My throat was getting parched. Sorry about the sipping noises if it's loud. Okay. So again, this video is sponsored by Airtime. Really cool company. That's what I'm streaming through. It's essentially a plugin. Instead of using my Mac computer, I'm using my Airtime computer. And with it, I've got a lot of different tools that I can implement into the stream itself. I'm currently just in the camera mode, but there's a creator mode, which I'll use in future videos when I learn how to use it better, where I can set up like slides and presentations. So I can like, boom, here's a YouTube video, and I can put like my face in it and hover around, and like all at the touch of a button. Really cool stuff. But their graphics team did cool stuff like this for me. 100 viewers must put 100 likes on the algorithm or we shut this thing down. No, I'm kidding. Someone just said it in the comments. But yeah, so we have stuff like that. I mean, it's just cool. It's cool. Anyway, and for people who haven't seen it yet, I will unironically be using these in the future. Unironically, look what I had to make. I'm so sorry. I just had to show that again. And I got to show this. Suit time. I actually kind of prefer this one. This one was my idea. The designers came up with the other one, but I like this one. But also we got that BRB. Okay, sorry. I just have to, I'm so that genuinely that's like I'm obsessed with it. Okay. So any chance fellow Aiden video? Perhaps. I was originally going to do one, then James did one, and no competition with James. James, I love James. We do very different things, but whenever he does a video, and then I do one like within the wake right after it, it always just bombs, and so I usually just take a while after. So at some point, probably, because I do really like the Aiden. Genuinely, I think it's a really nice brewer. But yeah, so I will at some point. One night, Lance, quick question, a bit off topic. What 64 ml burst set could you purchase a standalone? Do you think handle darker roast espresso the best? For espresso, the dark roast espresso, 64 that can be purchased. Honestly, if you can find ceramic Malkonig 64s, which you should be able to, those are fantastic. I mean, those are absolutely fantastic. If you can get ceramic 64, ceramic does so good with dark roast. It's not even funny. Golf game coming along. How do I caffeinate on course? If you're following the coffee golfer, you know how I caffeinate on course because I brew in every video. I did just play up in Sweden, though, and it was really fun with a pro. I've got some other cool things coming up there, too. Will be the particular workflow stuff that must be followed by baristas that home enthusiasts do not consider. And for the people who are watching this in the immediate aftermath, when there's not comments and you think I'm reading the comments too quickly, well, the replay will load after 24 hours of this being posted. So maybe pause video, come back later, and that way you don't have to get annoyed with me reading the comments so quickly. Particular workflow. Yeah, I mean, it's hard with workflow. It depends on the setup of the bar, right? So the way your bar is set up, which I've helped design many bars as I've done consulting work for on behalf of Onyx with wholesale accounts. I've helped set up a plethora of bars across the West Coast. And so it first and foremost depends on your bar flow, which in a home, you don't really have a bar flow. I guess you can set one up in a small area. But there are things like, for instance, in most cafes, what you're trying to do, you're trying to optimize speed, right? So what I would do, for instance, my optimal bar flow is if I could take the order as the barista on the, and in fact, this is what one of the fastest bar flows I've seen is the original Minotti's in Venice Beach. Like you would come in and you would order to the barista who is on there. They had Mazers there, and they would sit there, and as they're taking the order, they would begin to dose the coffee, and the person on the espresso machine would hear. They'd have three people, right? They'd have someone on the grinders, someone on the espresso machine, someone on the cash register, and they would only have payment taken as they gave the drink. So what happened is someone come in, they'd order. The person taking the order was a friendly face. They would start the grinders because they were automated doserless grinders, and they would get the shot tamped. The person behind the espresso machine heard it. They would prep it. If it was syrup or something, they get the cups prepped, and then they would lock in the portafilters. They'd start the shots. And then they would steam the milk. And then the person on register would grab it and they would finish the drink. They would stir it and they would pour the milk and they would serve it. And so each one of them had their own part in their bar flow. So when it comes to bar flow, it really depends. Are we talking about a single barista bar flow, or are we talking about a multi-barista bar flow? Are we talking about a straight line bar flow, or is it like a front and back bar type thing? There are just so many things that need to be taken into consideration. Like how long do you keep the milk at, or do you have a cooler sitting outside to continue dumping? Do you have a pitcher rinser that you need to be constantly rinsing the pitcher, wipe off? You have to have multiple rags without cross-contamination, one that's specifically for the pitcher, one that's specifically to wipe down the bar, one specifically for the portafilter. You need, there's lots of different things to take into consideration when you're behind bar. You're working with different types of milks. You don't want the cross-contamination to, so different rags for different milks, yada, yada, yada. So, Umbrice, I was thinking of asking to do a 1 or 2 weeks internship for free to get some hands-on training. What do you think of that? I'll be honest, Jose, sorry, Portuguese. Jose is Spanish. But if I were owning a shop and someone asked me to intern for 2 weeks, I would feel uncomfortable and decline. Because I don't feel comfortable hiring free labor. But if I'm in a position where I cannot pay you, then I just shouldn't get you on. If that makes sense? Because regardless, even if you feel completely fine doing it, it is an exploitation of labor, and you never know what could happen in that type of power dynamic. And so for me, it would make me feel uncomfortable. Now, you may easily find a place that's willing to do that. I'm not here I'm not here to to screw your chances of finding something like that. I'm just saying, if I were running a shop and someone asked me to give me free labor, I would, if they were really earnest about it, I would really try to find room in the budget to hire them for, restricted hours where we could help them, or like maybe have them do some cleanup in turn for some hours on bar or something, like to do something so I could pay them. I mean, because I would need to have some sort of transaction to feel comfortable with that. So I don't know. It might be a thing, because there may be people that are very happy to do it. The issue is it's very easy in those situations to be taken advantage of, right? So that would be my worry. Tried something other from Onyx with Cometry and really liked it. Can't seem to duplicate it with Pietro, my option. No, U100 with Mysons. Any tips? You can't duplicate the Cometeer Southern Weather with the whole bean Southern Weather. Is that what you're saying? The Cometeer Southern Weather is going to be a lot more muted and has a multi flavor. All the Cometeers I've tried have this multi flavor. I've actually talked to the company about it, and I was actually looking for it in a chemical analysis of Cometeer that I was able to do. I wasn't able to figure out what it was, but there is a multi flavor in it. Maybe you like that multi flavor, and it's not in the actual coffee. You can affordable barista textbook that comes with a QR code and passkey that sends you to a website to take online tests to get the BBL. I've got to call it the BBL. It brings me too much happiness when I read it. That's freaking, it brings you to an online test to get the BBL. That is, I've already read it, bootleg barista license, okay? Not Brazilian brown lift, okay? It's not the Brazilian brown lift. It's the bootleg barista license, okay? Not the don't have money for your Patreon. Well, the good news is the cheapest one is $2 a month, which comes out with a 10% discount at the end of the year, like $21.60. But I mean, they're not free grinders. The Patreon pays for them, so it's like everyone has paid a little bit of it, and so it's going back to one of the owners, is how I view it. So I'm not giving them away. I am giving them to the rightful owners. So if you're not in there, then you're not a rightful owner, sadly. But yeah, you could gamble it with two, instead of getting like a coffee 1 month, you could gamble $2, get in, and maybe get it that 1 month or something. You came with James' recent CAT scan. Yeah, I saw that. But he didn't do the blind shaking even correctly, which made me upset. I was a little perturbed by it. I saw how he did the blind shaking. I love the video, by the way. And I can't remember if he said. So I would have liked to hear a bit more discussion on the scans themselves. For instance, I did see more vertical lines in the pressed, it looked like there was less dense areas where the needles were, like in the autocomb. But with the shaking and the dumping, he did the thing I've been preaching not to do, which is you do not shake and then put it directly on the portafilter. You don't do that. You don't do that. That ruins everything. You have to do it from a distance. That was like one of the main things in my video. You have to use a collar. And people can say, well, that adds flaff to it. Okay, don't do it. But you have to go from a height. You have to. That is like the main point in using the shaker. And I saw people saying, like, I've tried shaking and this dosing up and that dose. No, you have it. Part of it is the trickling in. Anyway, it's just a whole thing. But no, that was an interesting video. I wasn't surprised by more compaction near the edges and less in the top middle and the bottom middle. That makes sense. That's yes. That's something that has been known. Um, and then, of course, I was curious why he showed the spent puck, and then he, confessed he made the realization of the solenoid. Because I was like, why are we even looking at this? And then he had realized it. And I was like, ah, of course he did. But yeah, so it was a cool video though. I didn't think you'd be able to see channels though. No way. Because channels are microscopic. They're teeny tiny little babies. Sometimes they're massive, sure, but not something you could really see on a CAT scan. CAT scans are not as helpful. I never thought a CAT scan would be very helpful for a puck. It's cool though. If I had the opportunity, I'd do it too. I just don't think it was yeah, gonna do it. Compresso, yes, soup shots are possible. Actually, I bought one for the video and it never came in. Oh, she must be, it must be a copy. What do you think of the finding the shaker is better than Honeycomb according to the CT scans? I, and he didn't even do it right. But color me not surprised. But again, I am skeptical of learning that much from a CT scan, unless it's very very obvious and very consistent. And as you heard, he wasn't able to do that many because some of them took 12 hours to do, and they had to do it into plastic as opposed to which I think the properties between the wall and the coffee are going to act a little differently, of course. But um, yeah, I thought that was funny. The same thing about side shaking directly, but he also settled pretty harshly before tamping. Yeah, and it's fine. Like I should have been way more aggressive about the methodology I used for shaking than I was. It was a pretty quick and flippant thing. And to be honest with you, it's because when I got this, I never once saw someone use it. Genuinely, I'd never seen someone use it until afterwards. Weber and they admittedly did this. They were riding the hype train and they put out a video to sell more shakers after my video, and they did it this way, right? And I think I commented. And I was like, "That's not the best way to do it." And they're like, "That's the way we do it." And I was like, "Well, it's funny you're selling something and you didn't even. There's no way you got the results you did because doing it that way is worse." Because I did do some tests with that and it is worse. So they just got lucky with the product when it comes to the way it distributes. I just genuinely I thought the best way to do it was dropping it from a height because in my mind the way it falls was one of the big appeals. In addition to shaking, but yeah, see an option nose teaser, 80 millimeter blind burr. Yeah. I mean, what else is new? There's like four of those coming to the market, right? It's crazy. There's so many. Like we had the EG1, and then boom, we hear about Zerno Z2. Like right after he released the 64, he's like 80's my next target. Then boom, Buku. Then boom, well, there's another one. I don't know if they've been public. I know that it's been leaked in a lot of places, not by me, but I've seen it's been leaked in a lot of places. I won't name it, but you can go look it up. But another very well-known high-end grinder company was retrofitting one of their grinders to be 80. Boom, and then boom, option O. That's like it's like bang, bang, bang. So it's like we've super saturated the 64 millimeter market. 98, there's been an attempt to, but it's so expensive, people haven't done it. And then they found that people would spend in this middle range, right? They found that all right maybe the P64 is not selling as well at 1600 because people can get PF64s or whatever, or they can get the Time More, or people are getting Zerno and it's selling the crap out of it. We need to do something a bit bigger. And okay, the 102, the $3,000, not as many people buy that. Three looks a little scary. Maybe if we go down to like 2200, there's a big old segment of people that we need to get. You know what I mean? Oh, the Wug. I forgot about the Wug. We also had the Wug before all of that. We had the EG1, then we had the Wug 2, then we had the Zerno Z2, then we had the Buku, then we had and now we have the option. It's just crazy. It's like bing, bang, 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 bang. When we had the Bunzilla, the Dating Lab Suite. It's crazy. We had my first espresso setup and recommendations on brands and or specific pieces of equipment you would recommend. Tamper portafilter shaker. Uh, Give me 1 second. I've got to refill my water. All right. I got myself a decanter of water. I'm thirsty. Ranting takes it out of me, but I love it. Some brands are a specific piece of equipment you would recommend. So Tamper. I like the Happy Tamper. Not sponsored. I like it. I don't know why I was looking at my drawer. It's obviously sitting out. Well, I say obviously. I don't really use 58 that much, but I think I have a 49 millimeter tip that I need to put on it. But I personally like the Happy Tamper. I don't care what brand you use. It's all good. I do recommend self-leveling tamps, but there are people who are diehard like the old way is the best way. Whatever, do what you want to do. I don't give a crap. But this is simple. You hit it with your palm. It feels good and it doesn't suction the puck out. Now I do like the feel and the look of the Weber really nice tamper, but it suctions all my pucks, so I had to relegate it to the drawer. This one, I don't suction pucks with it, and I like it personally. I like it. The big step. I don't like the gaudy branding. I don't like these bubbles on the side. I don't like the bubbles on the top. But you know what? Don't care because it tamps good, tamps easy, it tamps consistently. I like it. Portafilter doesn't really matter. The basket's what matters, right? Um, Compressor is great for micro souping. Yeah, that's what I hear. And I don't know where mine is. It's annoying me. Into the coffee pot. Love it, Thiago Leão. Love it. Freaking Thiago Lion. Let's go. Um, have you tried the Timor Impulse Impact Tamper? I have not, but I'm not big on impact tampers. I don't like them. They not fun. Sorry, I'm just chugging water on here. Scientific research on how do you store your coffee? Honestly, I'm the worst. I have so much coffee, I don't store it very well. If I was really, I end up giving a lot of my coffee away. I get so much coffee, and I spend so much on coffee all the time. It just piles up. If I were to store it all to keep it, I would never get to it. I do have a freezer with coffee in it, but like I never go to it because I'm always getting coffee. So I'm not the best to ask how I store coffee because I don't really store coffee. I drink stuff, I give it away, I get more stuff, I drink it. If it's great, I'll drink all of it. If it's not great, I'll give it away. Someone else may like it. So I'm not the best to ask about it, but yeah, there's different things out there about storage. It just depends on what you want to believe, I guess. 200 milligrams is 200 is already a thing. It's just not for home brewing, right? Commercial grinding. But once it gets bigger than that, commercial companies are like doing roller mills and stuff, right? It's still a good bang for 078S. Yeah, it's still a great bang for your buck today. That's the thing. One of the biggest surprises in the last few years is that no one has eclipsed what Time More was able to do with that massive Kickstarter launch. I stand by my initial hype. Before the grinders were even out, I got my hands on one. And it's not because I took a free one or collab with Time More. I found a way around it. Everyone thinks that Time More launched at one time on Kickstarter. It's not true. They had already launched in a few countries around the world. The Kickstarter was for the US and a few other countries. They had already released in China and a few other places. For some reason, I found on AliExpress a Chinese vendor that was shipping to just Norway. For some reason, they were open to orders from Norway. So your boy used a VPN in Norway, but put a Portugal address. For some reason, it worked. And I got in contact with the vendor in China who had Time War 078s, and I got one direct. Now, the 078S did come out later, but the 078 was already out. So I had one before, like, anyone did outside of people obviously in China and the countries it was released, but the majority of my following, they did not have exposure to them. And I remember being so excited at what it gave you and at the price point. I couldn't believe it. And I put this really hype video out and I got so much criticism for it, but I still think I don't think anything has come out to remotely challenge it. You know, you had the guy Mori come out and almost copy paste what they were doing, but in a inferior way. But I think it's a fine grinder, but it does not replace what Time War did with the 064 and 078. I think they're absolutely fantastic at that price point. They did as good as you can with that quality and that price point to give you an insane bang for your buck. I am still high on the Time War grinder train. Those grinders. Um Flair's new video on pre-infusion. No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Do I need to watch it? What is it? Is it bad? Is it going to make me cringe? Or is it good? Because they've made me cringe on their take on puck depths made me cringe. This was not accurate. It's how to do. Wait. Wait, I just lost where I was at. Shaker or WT? Oh, shaker. Duh. I just don't do WDT. You want to see what my WDT looks like? This is real life, by the way. This is real life. My Swerks WDT. Are you ready for this? That's what it looks like. I don't use this bad boy. I use it when I do color readings with really fine grinds. I'll sit there and kind of whisk it to break up clumps because I'm grinding so finely that even my EK produces some clumps at that fineness. But yeah, need some more water. Was the hopper since I swapped it out for an aftermarket? It's pretty perfect. Yeah, the hopper's not fun. It's not the greatest. It didn't bother me that much though because how great it was in every other regard, build quality and taste. Best overall 80 millimeter. I can't speak to that because the Zerno Z2 I've not gotten to play with. The other ones coming out I haven't gotten to play with. All I know of so far is the WUG and the EG1, right? That's all I've really gotten to play with. Now I'm really curious about this flare video. 64 millimeter turbo burrs and the I'm not a big fan. The 64 turbos from Time War, I didn't really like that much. I know that of course there are dissenting people who are like, no, it's just as good, you know, whatever, and that's fine. You can, if you find that you love them, that's great. I was never a big fan of them, to be honest with you. Like the Time War 06, the 64 burrs, but turbo burrs, but I mean, they're fine. I would say I give them like, I mean, I prefer the multi-purpose burrs from SSP over the turbos, personally. The 7.8 turbos, next level. Your last video, I listened while driving. Don't remember. Did you touch on blooming, meaning fill and soak quickly, then no more flow in for a period, then dump back on or lever release? So, no, I didn't. I don't think I talked about that because it wasn't really relevant. As you fill and soak quickly, then no more flowing for a period, then pump back on or leave release. Yeah, no, because it wasn't really relevant to the video, right? I was talking about the soaking rate. So you can soak quickly, and what happens after that is blooming, right? Pausing's after the bloom, or pausing's after the soak. So I wasn't really talking about as much what's after the soak. The idea was what's happening early and going into it. And so when you have blooming, you're having you still have fill rate if you're using a pump machine, and that's what I was really trying to focus on is that you're gonna have pooled water and over extracted top part of that puck until you have, yeah, anyway. This coffee you drinking have for sure crystal clear taste. I know. This is some, I told y'all I like tea like coffee. I told you. Crystal clear. Any more videos with meticulous? Yeah, I will. I don't know. Oh no. I'm annoyed. We have 128 viewers, only 59 likes. Hit the like button. It's not going to hurt you. Hit the like button. Okay. Thank you. There was one. It went from 59 to 60. Thanks. I want to look up and see freaking 100. Okay. Waiting on Ling Long to restock to try. Oh, speaking of Ling Long, I've got the 98 millimeter on its way finally. Finally. I looked up at 75, 25 more to be happy. That was me. Good. But yeah, so I've got that. Oh, and then he said recently in a post that a 64 millimeter is going to cost $305. That's cheaper than a DF64, and it'll be built way better than a DF64. That's going to be wild. How to do seasoning with 83 millimeter grinders? So I need to go from filter to espresso or not? Seasoning? No, you don't want to go all the way to espresso. Go like little over mocha pot is more than fine. The idea of put screen in V60, how would it affect? Don't do it. It's going to mess with the flow. No point in using it. All right. Cool. All right. Well, it works okay, but rings do nothing. What was that about? concentric ring pattern. Yeah, you don't need the ring pattern. I showed this in a tamping video. They're fun, but they don't do anything helpful. All right, we're 3 away from 100 likes, and we have 124. That means there's at least 3 of you that could hit the like button and just make my life happy. I want to see this in real life. Okay. I'm brewing yerba mate and airpress lately. Good. Ooh, not someone disliked it. You turd. They're like, asking 3 times is too much, my lord. Brienne of Tarth. Sir Clegane the Hound. Montoya Z1, expensive, but loving it so much better than the Pulsar. Yeah, when you're going with, no bypasses, yeah. Hey, we went over 100. Thank you. The Superman says every sip is significant. I love this stuff. It's the most fun. Check out Airtime. Okay. What do you think? Uh-oh. Oh, we're good. Okay. Melodrip Calm. I've not used it. Any tips on developing a more fine-tuned palate when tasting different coffees? Good question. So I always recommend try everything mindfully. I know that sounds so like that's not like just give me like an answer that's like, oh boom, now I can taste better. But that's not how it works. It takes practice and trials and errors. I always tell people go to the most um uh, man. There's fireworks going off outside. I was like, what the heck? It's what, September? Well, I guess it's midnight. Maybe today's something. I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, like get a bunch of fruits that you've never had. Get fruits that you have had. Sit down and genuinely like take notes if it helps. Close your eyes. Focus on your breathing. Genuinely, these are things to really get you into a nice mindful the state of being. You want to really get into your being. So sit and try to think about only your breath. Think about inhaling and exhaling to really get your mind and body kind of into one. And then take a bite of something and really only focus. Close your eyes and bring your mind to what's going on in your mouth. All right. This sounds weird, but genuinely, there's actually loads of studies that have shown about this mind body connection through the focus on breathing. But you want to be able to bring your mind. A lot of them say to bring your mind starting in your feet and coming up to your head. And this gets you really in tune and can actually help recreate neural pathways in your brain and help with neuroelasticity, blah, 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 blah. So I like to incorporate this with tasting because it really helps me focus. If you're just eating, yeah, you can taste the burst of fruit that goes in your mouth as you're sitting there munching and nomming on blueberries. But unless you really sit there and really like go over what's the experience, the sensations, what's popping in your mind as you're eating it, you can't focus on it if you're talking to someone as you're popping a bloobs in your mouth, right? So if you've got a bloob in your mouth and you're chatting with someone, you're not thinking about all the different complexities of that fruit. You're not thinking about it. You have the overarching explosion of flavor, but you don't have the minutia, right? So what I recommend is doing a little breathe exercise before you do a tasting exercise, and really close your eyes as you're eating it and consider texture, consider mouthfeel, consider how it's going over your tongue, how is it coating it, what are the different acidity levels as it goes from the beginning of your tongue to the back of your tongue, how is it leaving and lingering after you're done with it, and try to make memories with each of these fruits, whether it is some sort of fruit you've never seen before because you went to a store of a different ethnicity than you down the street, or whether it's your normal local supermarket with local to you fruits. Like try everything, and just be super mindful as you're tasting it. That's the biggest issue. People try to develop a palate, but they're not mindful when they're tasting things to develop said palate. I read a lot of weird stuff. I read a lot of mindfulness things. I'm very in tune with um, getting your mind and body connected, right? And like I'm all about neuroplasticity and elasticity, but I do prefer Washington Nationals, David. Yes, big time. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think I'm going to head off now. We've done this for about an hour. This was my big comeback. I feel good about it. We got a rant about SCA barista courses being charged through the nose. We talked about how I'm planning on doing a series on my main YouTube to kind of counteract that, to combat it, to do some cool stuff with it. We talked about Airtime being the coolest company to come through and sponsor these unfiltered videos to improve my quality of production, which I'll get better with over time, of course. And we talked about random Q&As over here. So it was really nice. I have to be mindful of that recovering from. Oh, wow. Yeah. Absolutely. Have you read Golf is Not a Game of Perfect? No, but I am reading. I don't know where it is. I'm reading a really good golf psychology book, though. It's like incredible. Like I'm in love with it, and I don't know where it is. But anyway, okay, cool. Thanks so much, and you all rock. If you haven't, you should check out my Patreon. We have a cool Discord there, and I do lives almost daily. They're shorter, but they're almost daily. I try to do at least 4 a week, if not 5, maybe 6. Hop on through the Discord, do it. It's accessible through Patreon, fun stuff. Love everybody. You all rock. Let's make coffee more accessible. Let's not hold education in ivory towers. Let's all have fun. Let's brew good coffee, and let's not sneer at people with lesser quality, grinders than us or whatever. So, most important thing to take away from all my videos is this. Say it with me. I hope that you brew something tasty today. And cheers.